All right, let's find out how this is affecting or how it's going to affect the festivities, being that we're just getting into it. Of course, top on the list will be food. So joining us from Port Harcourt, Rivers State, the Rivers State capital, is the Chief Executive Officer of Bob Track Nigeria Limited. His name is Ibifiri Bob Manuel. Mr. Bob Manuel, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So we've heard of reduction in price. We've seen it also. At least I've seen changes in the prices displayed at filling stations, at least here in Lagos. Share with us the River State experience. Have you also experienced reduction in prices following both the announcement from Dangote and NNPC?
Well, it hasn't trickled down to us yet in Port Harcourt, but we hope that will happen soon, really soon, maybe tomorrow or a day after.
So we spoke to a farmer on our program earlier today, and he said even with this reduction, it's too minute to have an impact. You are in, the food chain, talking about mechanized farming and all of that. Do you see this trickling down to the price of food, even if it's not for this festive season, perhaps first quarter of next year?
The problem of food has gone beyond just the price of petrol. Yes, the price of petrol has a whole impact. But I think the bedrock of the problem with the food, it has to do with the kind of agriculture, the kind of farming practice in Nigeria. Because we've always been practicing the subsistence kind of agriculture, and that's what we're still practicing even in the 21st century Nigeria. So I think the federal government needs to pay a lot of attention to mechanized farming, and that's basically where we play in. The federal government needs to put a lot of impetus into mechanized farming. And we need to begin to, as a government, as a people, we need to begin to patronize Nigerian homegrown, quality, agro-mechanized industries. That's the way out of the woods for me, because as much as we keep dumping products that are not built for the African market, the Nigerian market, onto our farmers, we are not really helping the farming community, because they run through with products that they don't have an idea about, that can't really enable them to have that bumper harvest that they look forward to. Because farming is actually a profit center. Farming is a business. And we need to begin to approach farming from the point of view of being business, rather than an area where we just experiment out different things. So if the federal government would want to increase upon or reduce the cost of food in the market, then we need to improve upon the harvesting. And for that to happen, we need to begin to apply homegrown solutions to our homegrown problems. That's basically the way it has to be, So there's a whole lot in this value chain that I think we as manufacturers in the agro space will believe the federal government needs to do a whole lot more than what it's doing. Because you have a case and study where the federal government goes out of its way to reach out to agro-producing companies in America and even in places like Belarus to buy agricultural, implements, tractors and implements into Nigeria. When you have very quality products that are made in Nigeria that the federal government should rather patronize. And in patronizing those products, the federal government would buy those products with the Naira and at the same time show up the quality and the value of the Naira, as against going out of the way to buy substandard items into the country that they would eventually try to make use of that would not solve our problem. So these are the issues. I think it's more of this fundamental foundation issue rather than surface. Because the petrol has its own impact, but the impact is quite infinitesimal. It's not going to create a major dent in that whole value space.
All right, Mr. Bomano, when you say homegrown, Are those tractors made in Nigeria with Nigerian raw materials? Are they coupled in Nigeria, or are you talking about other factors that affect agricultural production?
Well, those are made in Nigeria. That's why that's what we're trying to do. Those tractors in Nigeria, we have plants in Port Harcourt and in Nasarawa. We have a capacity to make as much as to manufacture 6,000 agricultural tractors and implement country. We are selling our tractors in Ghana, in our tractors, Rwanda. We're selling our tractors in Shell, Dubai. So why the federal government will not?
But what about state government? What about state governments? Shouldn't we start from local governments, state governments? I do know that states have their Ministry of Agriculture. I spoke to Osun State Commissioner the other day, and they talked about how they're acquiring tractors, that farmers could use. So have you started, do you have conversations with the state government, for instance, before you head to the federal government?
We have very robust partnership with some state governments, and I'll single out the states like Nasarawa state government, and most importantly, Niger state government. I mean, Niger state government had set the marker for every state, and not just every state, for even the federal government to key into. Because if you look at what Niger State government is doing today, there is no, even the federal government can't come close to what they're doing when it has to do with agriculture. And most of the implements that is being used, the tractors, yes, were imported because they didn't get to know about us. But all of the implements that they work with on that farm, just other than tractors, are bought from Agric. So these are the initiatives that we think that the federal and the state government and even the local governments should key into for them to be able to get us out of the wood. Because look, we have the largest, going by statistics and records readily available, Africa and indeed Nigeria has the largest deposit of arable land in the world. And the only reason the hindrance stopping us from being able to maximize those potentials is the fact that we don't have mechanization. And that's what is slowing us down, and that's what we're here to provide. That's the vacuum we're here to fill. So it is a win-win if we begin to rejig and rethink these processes. You always come across areas, issues where we keep dancing around the issue. Because petrol is going to have a dent, but as I said, petrol would not have a dent beyond what it should, because it only has to do with transportation. When you have a bumper in your harvest, you have more in the market, and when you have more in the market, my very economist tells me that when you have more supply, obviously that will drive down what you call the prices. Basically, what it is. So I don't know why we keep talking about transportation. Because if you look at it, the 70s practiced this agriculture, and Nigeria was seen as the giant of Africa as at then. But it's the same kind of agriculture we're practicing today, and we expect that we will get that result. Whereas the population of Nigeria had 10 times or 20 times over what it was. So there's no gain saying that we need to go to the roots of our problems, which has to do with mechanization, and fix it. If we could fix mechanization, then I think we would be on the path of greatness, because every manufacturing outfit needs the raw material to be able to fire its plants. And those raw materials are coming out of our farms. So if the farms are not bringing out enough, it will not even be enough to feed us, not to talk of even feeding the manufacturing plants we have all around Nigeria. So these are our issues. We keep importing those raw materials from countries when we could afford it, because we need most of those raw materials to feed ourselves. So that's where our problem is. And I think the federal government, state government, local government need to sit down and begin to face this problem frontally from routes.
Yeah, Mr. Bobmano, some will say our problem or the area that should be prioritized should be research, which is why we see that the Ministry of Agriculture now is proposing to spend 180 billion on federal universities, agriculture and research institutes in 2025. We've also seen for the proposed budget for agriculture has gone from 362 billion, which was the proposed budget or allocation for agriculture in 2024. In 2025, it's gone up to 826.5 billion. Would you say that this gives you hope of a better outcome by this time next year?
Well, to start with, I would question the amount of money that is budgeted for agriculture last year and the year before last, because for us as major players in the agricultural sector, I mean, my company would be seen as one of the would have invested the most in the Nigerian agro space. So if we don't see where those funds are, I think the government needs to look further into it. And we're talking about 780, million naira you're calling, or $1 billion, worst case, what it is. The Brazilian agricultural, budget for this year is 700 and something billion. And we are talking 1 billion here, and we think we've invested that much. I think we need to do a whole lot in agriculture. Now, talking about research and development, how long would it take them to be able to get that whole process off the ground? I think the simple thing for the government to do is to partner with organizations that already have inputs on the ground, that already have the infrastructure to be able to run on those things, and see how they could work with those organizations like ours to get us to where we're supposed to be. The research and development we're doing, I think it will take the Nigerian, universities, the light years to get to that point. The amount of research we're carrying out, it will take a light years for the Nigerian government or their Ministry of Agriculture to get there. So the best thing for them to do, yes, it's a good effort they're trying to make, but they should try and look at the quick wins. The quick wins would be partner with organizations that are already on ground that would have invested that much into the research and development. Try and see how you could form that symbiotic kind of partnership with them to see that you achieve what you want to achieve. And by the way, what do you want to achieve? The technology that you're trying to achieve or you're trying to invest to achieve is already right in front of you with such companies like us. Our tractors are a global world record benchmarkers. I mean, for us to be able to sell tractors in the ship.
Mr. Bobmano, one can just say that you're just speaking from your perspective because that's your interest. Are you really speaking for the interests of the general public, of generally Nigerians? Perhaps, you're just saying this for your own good.
No. It's far away from talking about it from my own good. I'm talking about it from what is on the ground. I've looked at the agro space. I know the kind of equipment we use in Nigeria, and I know the kind of equipment we have on shelf across the country. And looking at it from the point of view that most of those equipments we have on the shelves in Nigeria that are imported to the country are not close to what we have on our own shelf. So I think as a Nigerian company, we're very proud of what we're doing. I think the Nigerian government simply needs to encourage more private players like us, more private investors, the way they call it. More private investors to see the importance, the need for them to channel their resources into such areas like what we are currently doing. I heard a couple of different outfits that are trying to set up. I heard of recent in Katsina. The Katsina state government is going into some partnership with some investors to do the same. I heard in Enugu state they're trying to do that. The partnership we're currently having is between us, my company, and the Nasarawa state government. And in partnership with the Nasarawa state government and an agency in the presidency called NASIMI. We're in such partnership, and that partnership is a partnership that has already started yielding fruits because we've started rolling out implements from that facility and tractors. So I think It is good for the federal government to invest those monies, but they should look at the quick wins. The low-hanging fruits are partnerships with private investors to see that they could push the needle sooner than later because the country is hungry for food. That's what I think.
All right, thank you so much, Chief Executive Officer of PopTrack Nigeria Limited, Mr. Ibifree Bob Manuel.
Thank you.
Let's take a break now. When we come back, still here on Business Incorporated, we'll head to the markets to stay with us.